I'm Joseph. Have another taco. And I haven't unpacked the wagon yet, but I wanted to start this ahead of time because I am rather on. Let me pop the cover. Alright. Cover is popped. More or less. Alright. So if I move the cooler bag, look at that. It is so organized. I am so organized. Yeah, that's the primary thing is me being proud of the fact that I actually got this crap organized. So give me just a second and I will drop you guys on the tripod. Didn't even take the tripod out because, again, I am so organized. Sorry for the shaky cam while I do that. I still don't have a mount on the taco truck that I am particularly happy with using. So, since I don't trust anything I could mount at the moment, I don't mount anything. Otherwise, I would just drop the camera on that and call it good. That would make sense. Come on, get in there. There we go. And of course, as soon as I'm like ready to go, the internet drops me. Yay!
How's it going?
Hello.
4th of July is when the revolution begins. That's when.
As far as I'm concerned, the revolution began in 2021 on January 6th, and we need to stop that revolution. That is the one that they planned. That was their insurrection. We need to stop that shit.
Yeah. If we get the nation liberals on board, we have a chance. It's time for them to stop drinking their lattes.
Some of them are beginning to suspect that maybe Donald Trump is not the great man he claimed to be. We'll see. Probably, my wild ass guess, guys, is that Donald Trump has kind of revealed that he's an imbecile. Even being that the emperor had no clothes, and oh my god, please put some clothes on. But they're never going to admit it to us because they just won't. But they figured it out, I'm sure, at this point. All but the most brainwashed and clueless among them have figured it out. I'm convinced of that. And you saw that today because you've got like Fox News and basically anything that could pass for a mainstream Republican and even some MAGA people going, holy shit, this is what we fought this illegal war for? Now, none of them are going to say it's an illegal war, but they know it was an illegal war, too. So, the thing to realize is that does not make them into liberals. It doesn't make them progressives. It doesn't make them Democrats. It means that they have figured out that Donald Trump was a snow job. Like I said, don't expect them to admit that to us. Bring me down to my level a bit. So that I can see chat. So the sun is just now going behind the trees. Let me see if I can focus on the... It doesn't look nearly as cool as it does for me. He does read the chat. he has to wait until the sun can read the chat, but he's at the point now where he can read the chat, but not necessarily whose name is associated with it. Can for members and for mods, but I can't for regular people. The gray is just not high enough contrast. So I will start reading that chat. And yes, I am sun challenged in all possible ways. I literally have to wear like long pants, the gloves, all of it. Poof. So we got a few people across the street here. Zoom. Thank you. We got a few people across the street there, and a few over here. And a bunch behind me. The indigenous group kind of hangs out down there a bit. But now that the sun has gone safely behind, so the reason why I've been coming out later and later is because I have to do all of this to, just to walk over here. But by 8 p.m., I can more or less start taking all this extra crap off, and until I have my filter functioning, that is a really necessary thing to be able to do, and I can't do it until the sun has gone safely out of range. Also, the whole thing where I want to be able to read chat. Okay. Somebody posted a foxtrot. Hey! Love you, TriMet! So, I am Joseph Carter. People call me Taco. Bet you can never guess why they do that. I am legally blind. I am a diabetic cancer patient, blah, 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 blah. Have asthma. Basically, I have no reason being out here if I had any sense. Unfortunately, it is obvious I did not have any sense because I was a Republican for 20 years, or rather, what I was lacking was perspective. Believed a lot of things that turned out to not have been true, and believed a lot of things that sounded good, but I have since learned that there's something to it, and it's not something good. Love you, TriMed! We always support our buses here in Portland, or at least on this channel I do. Well, I would on any channel, but... I am the worst protest videographer in Portland, but during the week, there's not so many people out here, so the protest is not so easy to watch, or not so interesting to watch unless something happens. And of course, something might happen, so you want somebody like me out here, but I bring topics because unless something happens, it's not as interesting. Hang on just a second, I'm going to change it to a live chat. I don't know why it starts on the other thing. The Epstein files still have not been released, and he says DJT. That is exactly what I would have expected him to post. I assume that's a him. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to be misgendering my documents. So Tired is here. Sorry, I cannot read who is here to say hello to everybody because the That feels really unstable. What is going on there? I have a leg that is not completely extended. There we go. That's more stable. Okay. So I can read people saying hello, but I can't see who's saying it. So I will just say hello to everybody. PBJT. Peanut Butter J Trump. I don't. Oh, peanut butter jelly time. Okay, I get it. That is funny.
My friends, would you like a burrito?
I brought. I don't know what days you do this, so I brought pizza of the mini variety. But thank you.
You're very,
Much
very
appreciated.
welcome. Take care.
So, I didn't see a comment from you about that today, and maybe it's above and I didn't see it. But, Unfiltered, yes, I have heard that Unfiltered would like to stream stuff. If he's there and wants to stream today, go ahead and do it today. And we can work out like a more reasonable license, but today is fine if he wants to, and we'll work something out like long term over email. Anyway. And he wants to be exclusive. Ooh. That would make him more popular than some of the other MAGA streamers, because I'm the only one who streams out here some days. So if he had exclusive. Anyway. But yeah, we can work something out. Cognac. That's hilarious. Okay. I disagree, because nobody has been convicted of anything, and lots of people are in the files. So, that being what it is, see, that the thing is, when somebody is not right in front of you, after a year, it's hard to keep anything up going for a year. When I was a gun-toting Republican, I am no longer a Republican. You can worry about whether or not I'm gun-toting if you want to actually do something dangerous, but I don't recommend it regardless, just because people have the right to peaceful protest, not armed protest, well, I still actually believe that people have the right to carry whatever they want to carry, but they don't have the right to use those things that they are carrying on other people. But if you want to peacefully protest, that goes for everybody. I'm actually not a free speech absolutist, and I can explain why specifically. Back in 2018 or so, I joined the social media platform Gab as a Republican, and there were neo-Nazis there because that platform allowed free speech. If it was legal speech, it was legal to have there. And it turned out that platform decided that pornography and liberalism were not allowed. And by pornography, I mean showing a boob was not allowed there anymore because something, the Bible, blah, 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 profanity, whatever, I don't give a fuck. What it really was is that Andrew wanted his app on the Apple App Store, and although there was no fucking way that was ever going to happen because politics, he wanted there to be no impediment to it, so he removed the ability to post anything that was not safe for work, even if it was tagged not safe for work, which you could limit, and you had to attest that you were 18 to be able to see those things. But he wanted to chase the Apple logo, and Apple was never going to allow it. So he banned those things, and he also found reason to ban trolls who happen to be left of center. In the 90s, the ACLU found that they were willing to also defend neo-Nazis, but not willing to defend people who believe that abortion should be legal. So, people who believe abortion should be illegal. So you have this problem that people who claim to support free speech never actually do. So I'm willing to draw the line at, the Holocaust was fake, so therefore we need to gas all the Jews. If you say shit like that, you can go away. I don't believe the government should be limiting speech in any way, but I don't believe in absolute free speech as a content creator, and I remove people from this channel all the time for basically trying to disrupt things and cause issues and problems. I mean, if you're coming in to post shit that looks kind of like a bot, I'm goodbye. If you're spamming, goodbye. If you're being just fucking obnoxious, one of my mods is likely to get to you before I do. So basically, it's the issue with free speech is that nobody actually practices. I do believe the government should practice it to the fullest extent possible. But I've noticed that no organization does. And that includes content creators, whatever they might say to the contrary. So I don't pretend. But today, my A1C is currently 6.8. It should be lower, but my insulin that I'm on currently has this problem that it goes, my blood sugar goes like this, and this is, you can't see my hand, doing this up and down, scary high and then scary low. And so what this ends up meaning is that I'm eating crap instead of anything that resembles food. Which, by the way, according to the US government, these count as vegetables. That's hilarious. They shouldn't. The school lunch program considers school pizza to be a vegetable. Pizza isn't exactly the worst thing you can possibly eat, depending on what's on it. These aren't terrible. They're not the best. Unfiltered does give credit. He always did. I understand my mods are authorized to oh, fun. This stream that wasn't going to make any money anyway is now going to get monetized because of music. This stream was never going to make any money anyway. The only time I get anything is if somebody gives a super chat or signs up as a member. Anyway, but my mods are basically authorized to time out or ban anybody that pisses them off, so I advise not doing that. I'll remove it for, you know, a misunderstanding, but if you really just piss them off, I'm not doing that, except when I do it globally, which is about once a month or so on average. So, as I was saying earlier, on days when it's really quiet like this, I bring a topic or two out here. And the first one is Antifa. What is Antifa? And this is a little complicated because most people will tell you that Antifa is not a group, it's not any sort of organization or anything. And I will say that is not always true. There was a Rose City Antifa group. They had a website. I think the website is still up. They had a website. They had a bank account. At the point when you have a website and a bank account, you can't say you don't exist as an organization. However, take smaller bites if you're going to talk, Joseph. The organization that was Rose City Antifa, Popo, Rose City Antifa doesn't exist anymore. Do others? I don't know, probably. But at least some of the time there are organizations that have been called or connected to Antifa or something. I gotta say, those are dangerous right now because the Trump regime has declared that they can tell you you're Antifa even if you aren't part of any organization and don't actually know the other people that you've been arrested with. Like, never met them before. This is the first time you've ever met and you've just been picked up together. You're all Antifa and you aren't allowed to say otherwise. That should not survive any sort of legal scrutiny, but if you do it in a red state, it might. And in fact, in one red state, it did. Some people were convicted despite not knowing each other, or at least claiming they didn't. And in fact, only one of those 9 people actually did anything actually illegal. Only one. I'm not too worried about that holding up in a blue state. But I also don't trust that the Trump regime will not send everybody to Louisiana to go before a MAGA judge who sucks off the president 3 times a week. So there is a certain risk, even with being connected to it by being in the same location. I mean, Donald Trump is trying to make protests illegal. I'm pretty sure that on any reasonable appeal, those convicted who the government did not even try to prove that they knew each other, of being part of a terrorist cell, that's not going to stand up, but they were convicted. So there's the law and then there's MAGA, and they ain't exactly compatible with each other. What I am an absolutist about is the Constitution. The government does not have the right to abridge the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of religion, and the freedom to express our grievances to the government, to petition the government for redress of our grievances. That is the First Amendment. I'm awake today, by the way. I didn't have to actually recite the First Amendment to actually come up with all 5. And that is literally just the First Amendment. There's 9 more people recognize as a Bill of Rights, plus 4 articles, plus, a bunch of other amendments, which get kind of complicated. But Antifa is, well, it is sort of an idea, and usually that's all it is. It's just an idea that fascism is wrong. And people were looking at, obviously Adolf Hitler, but really Benito Mussolini, Franco, you've got, the Japanese Emperor Hirohito gets thrown in there for no major reason. They throw him in because he was a dictator. There are lots of autocratic governments that are kind of run by one person who, for the most part, leaves people the fuck alone. If you are not a Kurd or a deliberate enemy of, made yourself personally an enemy of Saddam Hussein. He had a thing against the Kurds, then he had a thing against, people who chose to make themselves specifically his political enemy. The rest of his people, under Saddam Hussein, Iraq was remarkably like Iran under the Shah. Women could walk around in like normal clothing that you'd see in the West. That was fine. People had religious liberties. They didn't generally they had the liberty to be Muslim or not. How much you could be Christian or whatever, Hussein mostly didn't care. I don't think there were many Christians, but you could be Christian and he didn't care. He had a problem with the Kurds, so there was that. But for the most part, he had a regime that was very oppressive to some people. But it wasn't really a fascist dictatorship. It was just a normal dictatorship. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But there are a lot of normal dictatorships. The fascist ones are the ones that, there's a dictionary definition for fascism. They all tend to target a group of people, and you don't have to, You don't have to meet all of these to be fascist, in my opinion, but you're going to meet nearly all of them. And some countries will meet some of them without it. As I said, the Kurds in Iraq. No, Saddam Hussein's main problem was that he, as a U.S. ally, decided to invade another U.S. ally, and we decided that was a no-no, so he became a U.S. enemy almost overnight. He thought he more or less had our approval to do it, and he didn't. So that escalated quickly. And that sort of suggests, the U.S. was doing bad things, because we were. By the way, how do you think we knew that Saddam Hussein had some form of weapon of mass destruction? Funny that we were certain that he had something. Some sort of NBC. Oh, right, we gave him the chemical weapons that later on showed up in Syria. They literally had U.S. military labeling. We weren't allowed to use them, so we gave them to our ally, Saddam Hussein, just in case he wanted to use them against people that we didn't care about. These are fun things you learn about, or maybe you don't learn about them. Should learn about them, perhaps. I didn't see what was done to Nick's car. Yeah, there was such a thing as a red skinhead, which is interesting because they were skinheads who decided that Nazism was bad and communism was good. I don't know if I'd go that far, but the sort of vulture capitalism we've got going on now doesn't seem to be working all that well. So, Antifa seems to be usually an idea, but not always. The next question is, though, Trump declared Antifa a terrorist organization. Can he do that? It turns out that no, actually he can't. He legally cannot do that. He is not allowed to declare something a terrorist organization. Certainly not a domestic terrorist organization. Read those pocket constitutions, Republicans. That was the thing. I had one and I read it. Although mine was not... The one I carried was not the one that the Heritage Foundation puts out. I still got to see if I've got that box of them. Hand them out here. The one I had was the libertarian one that lists the 4 boxes that defend American freedoms. Those being the soap box, the ballot box, the jury box, and that other box. Hopefully you do not need more than the first box. Hopefully you can do it just by using, speech, and this causes bad candidates to not even. Failing that, you've got the ballot box. Failing that, you've got the jury box. Jury nullification is a thing, and it is actually not illegal. They will tell you, you are obligated to vote that somebody is guilty if we say they're guilty. No, you fucking aren't. Our system is built on an innocent until proven guilty. You are always allowed to say, this person did nothing wrong. And by saying that on a video, I've guaranteed I will never be allowed to serve on a jury. Because if you are asked about it, and you almost always are, if it's even likely to come up, even remotely likely to come up, you will be asked if you believe in jury nullification. And if you tell the truth, as you are obligated to do, so help you God, or whatever, you, under penalty of perjury, if you believe in it, you have to say that you do. And if you say that you do, you will be dismissed. Fucking pansies. I saw people with tongs literally pulling pieces of it that were floating out of the water, reach down and grab it. Apparently, hydrogen peroxide peels paint. No, people that they are accusing of being in Antifa cells are being arrested. If they don't even know the people that they're being arrested with, they can't very well be in a cell with them. Unless it be the jail cell. And you say, see, we've declared all these people are Antifa, and we put them in a cell. There's an Antifa cell right there. That is not how the law works, and if you think it does, then you need to read your fucking Constitution. Because so far, they haven't even tried to prove any of this shit in court. They've just said it's true and said you're not allowed to question it. That's not how the Constitution works. And one of the things I am is a constitutional absolutist. The Constitution says what it says. It does not say what it does not say. And I insist on its enforcement as written. Now that poses some problems for my friends on the left and the Second Amendment, because it's pretty clear on that one. However, I will say there are conditions under which other rights may be removed from an individual, not the population, but from the individual. But that's the whole thing. All of your rights are subject to due process of law. You have to have that for an individual to be deprived of their rights. And you can deprive them of any of their rights under those circumstances, actually. Love you, TriMet! We say yes more. You'll notice they're no longer we'll rent to anybody the law allows or anything like that. They say yes more. Like, for example, are you going to pay twice what this stupid piece of furniture costs? Yes! So anyway, the president does not have the authority to declare Antifa a terrorist organization. He simply does not have that authority under the Constitution. That is not one of the permissions he is given. The president does not have rights. He has permissions. The Constitution gives him permission to do things. Remember, in the United States, the government and all of the rights belong to the people. So, I always make a point to say, I am not a member of Antifa. Because if there is any organization to have membership, I'm not part of it and won't be. It's late, they're coming together. I deliberately won't join any organization related to protest activities. I just won't. I am an anti-fascist. I am an anti-fascist and I am a constitutionalist. And part of why I am so opposed to the Trump regime is that I am a constitutionalist and an anti-fascist. And the Trump regime is anti-constitutionalist and pro-fascist. Y'all hear Donald Trump talking about how he's greater than Hitler and Stalin and Mao, Genghis Khan. Did he include Alexander the Great in that? If he didn't, it was an oversight, I'm sure. The water was getting too hot. People told him it would. But he didn't care. He wanted to give that contract to the company he owed a favor to. It's unfortunate because I would like my capital to look nice. I would like the street corner in my neighborhood to look nice. It doesn't, and some of my friends are responsible for why it doesn't. I absolutely love the sidewalk mural over there. I miss Sidewalk Painting Girl. Apparently, she's living in a tree at the moment. But I miss her out here painting sidewalks. But I'm not a major fan of the gang-style graffiti tagging all the sidewalks and the building over there, and the profanity on the building. I'm open about that. I think if you are trying to fight Trump and ICE, that gives ICE ammo against us. So you shouldn't do it. If your goal is to stop them, you shouldn't be doing things that help them. How does a little paint on a building or on a sidewalk give them help? They're trying to not operate out of this building because they know we protest out here. They're trying to operate at basically a black site over by the airport where people don't get things like lawyers. If you are brought to this building here, there's a reasonable chance you're going to get a lawyer before you're moved out of that building. If for no other reason than that most of the people who end up in that building walked in. And walked in and said, do you have a lawyer? Can we call them if you don't walk back out? And if you do not have a lawyer, would you be willing to give us your permission to call one if you don't walk out? Now, they've been moving back to this building more and more because they've been getting in trouble for the whole black site thing, or at least it seems like they are. So they're moving back to this building more and more. But they argue, see, here are pictures of the building, and then they show pictures of the crowds protesting. Pictures, not video. Showing somebody raising their arm to throw a water bottle. They're attacking the building. We can't operate out of there, not unless we're allowed to, bust some heads and use lots of tear gas. And we've been told that we're on notice that excessive use of it will result in another ban. And so some people's, it's not my job to police somebody else's behavior. But I will say that if your behavior is helping ICE, maybe don't do that. Unless you actually support ICE and Trump, in which case, I guess knock yourself out. But if you're in opposition, I'd recommend not doing things that help them. It is worth pointing out that I had some affiliation. I was not a member, but I had some affiliation with Oath Keepers, and I did not like the amount of. I did not like that somebody involved with running the state of Oregon's Oath Keepers was literally saying that they thought that we should start gassing Jews. And I'm like, if this is allowed, I'm not going to be involved anymore. But I actually registered a domain, which has probably been picked up now by, a squatter, because of course it has. But I picked up a domain and was even trying to set up a local website for these guys, for the Oregon chapter. Never was a member, couldn't afford to be, but I could afford the domain at the time. Until I could, and I said, you guys need to take this over, and especially since I'm not involved anymore, you need to take it over, and they didn't, so it lapsed. I'm certainly glad that I stopped being involved when I did. There is graffiti that is art. There is some seriously amazing graffiti artwork out there. There's kind of a difference between scrawling something in a line of paint and painting something that is intended to be artistic. Even if, it isn't safe for work, which maybe means that it's not the best thing to have had painted on the side of a building, but there is some impressive graffiti artwork. That's why I actually greatly appreciate and some of the stuff on the street over there that has been done by the same people who've been doing some of this stuff I'm not a fan of is still graffiti art, but it is graffiti artwork now, and that I approve of. So anyway, Antifa as a group, I won't ever join it because I don't want to be involved in anything that people do affiliated with them. Like, for example, some people back in 2016 affiliated in some way, or at least connected to or identifying with or whatever with Rose City Antifa, tried to do some rather permanent things to me because of who they were pretty sure one of my friends probably was. Now, they were right about that, but because of that and who they assumed I would be voting for, all they did was make sure that I did, rather than didn't as I intended not to. I've told that story before, but yeah, about a dozen people in black and red wearing masks tried to brain me a couple weeks before the 2016 election because I shook somebody's hand back in 2011. A guy by the name of Mike Strickland. He used to run a channel called Laughing at Liberals. He would do kind of the holding the camera upside down at his side. Technically, there was a light on it, but he'd be talking to you, up here while the camera's down here. And he stopped doing that a couple months in because it stopped being effective for him. And I had a lot more respect for him after he stopped doing that. And we did become friends. But they assumed that because he was a friend of mine, and they fucking hated him, that I was automatically going to vote for Trump. I didn't like Trump. I was voting third party. So I ended up voting for Trump because some people tried to kill me. Out of fear, out of anger, and out of spite. I have, since 2021, I've been telling people don't ever vote out of fear, anger, and spite. Especially out of spite. You will regret it. Because if you're voting for somebody out of spite, you're voting for somebody you don't want to vote for. I was a good Republican. I wasn't a good MAGA. Never was a good MAGA. I was a good Republican. And I did not see Trump as good for Republican values then. After that, I decided to, ignore that and listen to the propaganda. No, he's going to be great. He's going to be the next best thing since Reagan. Hell, he might be better than Reagan. At the end of his first term, I'm like, that was kind of dumb, actually. He didn't get much accomplished. Now, I could probably blame Democrats for that, but he didn't get much accomplished. Although he did work on the vaccine, even though he's like, I don't think I'm going to take. He still worked on it. So for people who need it, it's there, right? Might survive this after all. I still think it was absolutely stupid that everybody decided that COVID could not have been So that car had been sitting there with its lights on for the whole time I'm here. I wasn't sure whose car it was, but I suspect that was an agent keeping an eye on us based on the fact that I think I saw a uniform or some sort of security anyway. Yeah, but I was not in favor of Trump. But I did vote for him twice. Now I decided to be in favor of him his first term for all the wrong reasons. And I voted for him a second time because, hey, he did the vaccine. I mean, come on. When the chips are down, he gets shit done, right? And then he tried to overthrow the Constitution. And I'm like, oh no, fuck that. Not immediately, but eventually. Took me a month or two of cognitive dissonance to work that out. It's like, wait, no, this is... They said on Fox News that he didn't actually contribute to that. He wasn't responsible for that. See, he gave this speech. He gave the speech, and the insurrection was already happening before he gave the speech, so he couldn't have done it. That Fox News said so. I mean, that was not how my brain was working, at least that I would vocalize, but that's how it was working. And part of it was Fox News didn't like Trump anymore. I mean, they were only pretending to like him in the first place, and the moment that it was no longer blah 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 blah, they turned on him just like that. The protest is a couple of people over here, a bunch of people behind me. People don't necessarily stand in front of the building during the weekdays. There are people about. Right now, there is nobody in front of the driveway. But there's people literally behind me, about 10. There's usually 2 or 3 over here. Sometimes there's as many as 5 or 6. And there's a few who go in front of the building, come and go throughout the day, just to make sure that they know we're still out here. They know we're here, but to visibly make sure. So that was the thing. When I went back and I looked at what Trump had said, I went back and saw, speeches and looked at his social media posts from before January 6th. Fuck ICE! Okay, I think there's a person behind me who shouted fuck ICE, and I believe she's a toddler. I do not know her name. I have met her. She's cute. She is very cute. She's brown. This is, unfortunately, her heritage is growing up as a brown person who might be kicked out of the country whether her parents are citizens or not. That is the reality. fuck was a word children used for 1,000 years. It is just a word. Profanity throughout most of the history of the English language was usually tied to the church. People saying things like, God damn it, or Jesus H. Christ, or by God, I swear I will. That's where swearing came from as a term. By God, I swear. That is profane. And in my faith, at least, it's a sin. Now, the other language is, generally colloquially recognized as no longer civilized. We can blame the French for this. Frenchy Frenches. Which is amusing because all the MAGA people who are offended that people are using those kinds of words, unless it's coming out of Donald Trump's mouth, then they're not offended anymore. They are all, everything French is evil and horrible because the French are French. That one dating back to George W. Bush. But the French decided that our Saxon words were offensive to their ears. One of my favorite songs is a song by Mindforge called F-U-C-K. It's a great song. Is that somebody walking by or is that somebody stopping? Fuck ice! Oh. That got more shouts. But with this, you're going to have a whole generation of people who believe that saying fuck this or fuck that is perfectly acceptable because, it's good enough for the President of the United States to say it on national television. Hey, Chris, was that a copyright-related reconnection or just my signal being shit? Somebody drove by and there was some music playing on there. So that may have been copyright-related. The fact is, though, that, people use language all the time that is offensive, that shouldn't mean, and we used to say this as Republicans, just because you're offended doesn't mean you win. One of my own mods, So Tired, does not use those Saxon words herself. Oh, they must see some people inside. I could be over there tonight. I could. Ooh. Hey, guys. Check out them clouds. We got purple, we got green, we got orange, yellow. I don't know if all of those colors come through. I sort of doubt it. Well, that happened, I guess. Turn the camera away quickly. Were they also riding a bike? Okay. You? I can't tell what dog that is over there, but I'm going to take a wild ass guess that's Gus. I'm going to assume drugs were involved. Love you, Tri-Man! An unadorned bus. No ads. Yeah, I'm gonna assume substances were involved. That's just a pretty safe bet. Oh, street lights came on. It's getting dark now. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, my first emoji on this channel, when we actually start creating emojis, is definitely going to have to be a bus. It's not. It's not. There's laws against it. It is specifically ignored for things like the naked bike ride. If there's a naked bike ride event, where and when these are happening are publicized. And it's basically, if you have a problem with it, don't look. So anyway, I think we dealt with the topic of Antifa before I got distracted. Does anybody know about the Rock Ridge group? and its connection to J.D. Vance. The Rock Ridge Group is basically working to enact stuff similar to Project 2025. They are, involved in part with writing Project 2025. But J.D. Vance's connection to them. Oh man, it looks even better now. Jeez. Fewer colors, but lost the green. Damn, that looks cool. But the reason why Rock Ridge and J.D. Vance is so interesting is that whether or not people understand it and know that it exists, and know whether or not people really know about this group. Some people say that J.D. Vance would be worse as president than Trump. And usually, that's why. Because as president, J.D. Vance would be more subtle. Donald Trump is about as subtle as a brick to the face. And about as polite. There's some critter in the, probably rat. There are rats in the city around out here. Could be a bunny. But Vance, there seems to be some pretty good evidence that Vance is trying to remove Trump from office and take over. And whether or not that would be a good or a bad thing is a question of some debate. I think it would actually be a good thing, despite the fact that I do not support what he would do, and he would do it more effectively than Trump because he would do it on the sly, or at least more carefully and more subtly. But we have a nihilist with his finger on a nuclear trigger who will take it all down if somebody threatens to take it away from him. J.D. Vance is just a greedy, opportunistic motherfucker who will do anything to become president. And will follow the bidding of people like Peter Thiel once elected, or once Trump is removed. And the evidence of his subtlety is that he's not already done the 25th Amendment thing. In part because that makes him openly opposed to Trump, but at the same time, he was pushing for, Epstein files to be released, showing that Donald Trump liked to torture minors. Worse has been said about Donald Trump now. But at the time, not really. The thing is, he was trying to frame that as, oh yeah, MAGA won't care, and it's nothing worse than what the Democrats already say. MAGA probably would not have, if Republicans came down the way they did about the Iran surrender. By the way, you'll notice I didn't put that on the topic list. There's a reason why. Everybody else is talking about it. It's not as relevant. Or did I put it on the topic list? I figured it isn't as important. But basically, the idea that... okay, now it's just red, orange, and yellow. Sorry guys, I'm getting distracted by noises, people, and very cool looking clouds. Oh, the clouds are getting darker. Oh, there's nothing important going on over there. The clouds are getting darker, like, by the second. The sun is actually setting now, so... we're gonna watch the clouds set. Or the sunset off the clouds for a minute, because they're just looking cooler and cooler. I think Vance was seriously trying to remove Trump from office so he'd be president. I think that was genuinely his plan. He really is. He really is losing it at this point. People have betrayed him. They're showing their disloyalty. But if they'd done this by over the Epstein files, and the color is all but gone now. There's just a little bit of orange and yellow there. The red is almost all gone. I can still see some red, but there's some red off in the distance there. But I couldn't see any through the phone. What I have learned is that my phone has a greater color range than most people can see, but less color than I can see. At least when it gets dark. And it is now properly getting dark, so... Anyway, I think Vance is trying to undermine Trump and work to remove him from office so he can be president. It's that simple. And I think it's working. I don't care. When are they not going to be able to show Trump in public? When the drugs stop working. They pump him full of drugs so he looks like he's not half dead. I mean, it's cute y'all think Donald Trump is going to leave the White House in anything short of a body bag. He will barricade himself in somewhere and put the entire U.S. military between him and anybody trying to remove him from office. He's going to try to marshal another January 6th to allow him to stay in office until 2028 if he's still alive, but it's not going to work this time. It's not going to work. There aren't many people, and they're not going to admit it to us, but they will. They're realizing Donald Trump has fleeced them. They're pissed. Fuck ICE! Donald Trump has fleeced the country. He's robbed us blind. It isn't going to Republican causes. It's going to him. He is the Republican cause. Personally. And that's not what MAGA signed up for. They signed up for, immigration crackdowns, close the border. They signed up for white supremacy, some of them. They signed up for smaller government. How's that working out? They didn't sign up for this shit. And now that they're starting to figure it out, and I mean, not just starting at this point, now that they've figured that out, their support of Donald Trump is largely performative. It is basically own the lid stuff at this point. And that's why you see Republicans turning on him now over Iran, because this is so egregious. The whole Iran thing was unnecessary, but Trump wanted it. And why did Trump want it? Because Donald Trump wanted to distract people from what he and Epstein did to children. He needed a distraction. And Trump figured the best distraction is one that enriches himself. So he went to war because that distracted people. He went to war with Venezuela. It was a short war, but it distracted people. And then he figured, I can do the same thing to Iran. No, he couldn't. What everybody told him was going to happen, happened. And then he was stuck because he couldn't admit he was wrong. I don't think they're going to let him make Cuba next. Although he's already, doing a lot to hurt Cuba. He's going to try to make Cuba next. We'll see if Congress allows it. I think Congress might just say, no, enough is enough. Look what you did to Iran. You should never count out Republicans' willingness to not stop Trump. But I think Trump has gone too far with Iran, and they let him do it because they're like, let's hope. I mean, all that Israeli money coming to us, we got to support it. Oh, shit. No, Israel doesn't support this at all. And this is bad. It is objectively worse. And I mean, the Republican thing was always to say, Donald Trump is going to be so much better because Obama sent a pallet full of American money to Iran. That was what Obama did. It was appeasement. Got a pinky promise from them to not develop nuclear weapons, and just, inspectors looking at things, and they'd probably be able to hide what they're doing, and it's just appeasement. Obama the appeaser. Trump says, oh no, they're not getting any American money. They're getting their own investments, which are all in American dollars. So we're literally loading up many, many, many more pallets full of American money than Obama ever sent. And there was never actually a literal pallet full of American currency. It was all bank stuff. Trump is doing that. And you heard 300 billion? Try 500 billion. $500 billion. That extra 200, yeah, that's directly coming from the US. And this time, the Strait of Hormuz remains under Iranian control. And thus far, we don't even have more than a pinky promise that Iran isn't going to develop nuclear weapons. And really, even that is to be discussed later. This isn't a treaty. It's a framework for a deal. And it's one that is an abject surrender. Because Trump needs to get out of Iran, and it's hurting us. And he doesn't care how he gets out. Now, the question is Israel going to let him get out? I think there's a good chance that they are not going to let him get out. Not just like that, anyway. And if he can't get out of Iran, because Israel won't let him, I mean, he's already said, if Iran doesn't behave, we'll just go back to bombing them. Meaning, the deal is off if the deal is off. There isn't really a deal yet. There isn't a treaty. There isn't anything other than a memo of understanding. It's a pinky promise. Now, so far, it sounds like Iran is going to continue enriching uranium to 60%. The gasp. Now, what you need to understand is 60% enriched uranium. Okay. First of all, I do not hold any like professional qualifications for discussion of nuclear weapons. I do hold certification for radiological materials handling. Why the fuck does the blind man hold a certificate for handling radiological materials? Because the blind man is a fucking nerd who had cancer and radiation for cancer treatment. And, hey, Michael, it's good to see you. I sort of figured you were probably not exactly on the Trump train these days. That you might have, like, that you might seriously be wondering, what the fuck was he thinking, at least some of the time. I sort of figured you might be. Pretty well. I've had some rather serious medical stuff happen, but I am out here with the camera, and I mean, a lot of my views got challenged, and investigating those things changed them, but I'm glad you're all right. But yeah, so I do have a background in handling nuclear materials because I went and got one. Because I'm a nerd who had radiation treatment. And being a nerd, of course I would when the opportunity presented itself. There is some chatter on the radio. I'm not sure if it's on our channel, but it seems to not be medically related, so I'm not going to worry. Yes, I make a point at bringing topics out here when there are less people and not like loud music. Plutonium and uranium behave differently. What Iran has is uranium, and they have been enriching it to 60%. There is no legitimate civilian application for 60% uranium. You can't build a nuclear weapon with it, though. You simply cannot build a bomb with uranium 60%. You need over 90%. It is fucking hard to get from 60 to 90. But 60% uranium is Iran saying, we're way outside of civilian applications and we know it. We're doing it so that we can say that we are allowed to do it. Would they like to develop a nuclear weapon? So many of their neighbors have them, including Israel. Yes, they would like to have a nuclear weapon. Have you noticed the other massively rogue nation out there that people talk about, particularly Republicans, or at least prior to 2016 Republicans would talk about? The two rogue nations were Iran and North Korea. Which one gets away with shit? North Korea can get away with a lot because they got the bomb. Could they drop the bomb on the United States? Probably. If they aimed for Mexico, they might hit the United States by accident. But the fact is, they've got the bomb. So, people kind of tread more carefully with them. You'll notice we don't randomly bomb North Korea because we feel like it. And given what has happened, Iran has every incentive right now to want a nuclear weapon. The formerly rather libertarian part of my brain is saying, yeah, that's understandable. They should want one. They should probably have one. The slightly more rational side of my brain says, let's not. But it kind of seems like any country that can develop them is going to want to have at least one or two. And a country like the United States has many more than that, and Russia's building new ones. Putin won't sell them a nuclear weapon. Putin will not sell them a nuclear weapon. That still looks pretty cool. Putin doesn't want to be at war with Israel. Putin wants to have a sort of friendly relationship. Now, I realize Putin is sort of playing both sides against each other a little bit. That is very true. A country that has only a few is more volatile, but they still want a few, and people are more likely to leave them alone because if you set them off, they might use them. That's very true. But at this point, you've got Iran basically not even promising to not enrich to 60%. And they're probably not going to budge on that. And Trump is so desperate to get the hell out of Iran that he's likely to just let him do it. Israel is not going to be happy. And I expect Israel is going to try and scuttle this. And I think they will be successful if they try. Nobody up at the front line. Just a couple of people over there. Oh, they're over there. Duh. Blind. Jeez, what are you, blind? Yes. For those who aren't aware, over here and over there, I mean, I'm very far away, but I don't promise any sort of restriction on filming faces or anything else over there, because if you're over there, you're already on a bunch of cameras, whether or not they're actually on and working. So, yeah, if you wanted to cover your face or something, you should have already done so. Over here, behind me, this used to be the Operation Inflation Corner. They're not doing it anymore. That's too bad. I love the balloon animals. I would like to see more of those. I hope Portland adopts the balloon animals when all this shit is done and over with, especially the frog, for non-political purposes, just because balloon animals are hilarious and fun, and it's the sort of weird shit Portland would do that is completely, like, it would become nonpartisan at that point. And I definitely encourage the city to do basically fun and weird shit that isn't tied to politics, because that actually gets more people out and part of it. And that's the thing. One of these days, Donald Trump is going to be gone. There's a lot of people who have supported a lot of things that are bad. There's just no way to put it. They're bad. I mean, there have been people supporting him, the Groypers, and people doing, like, frickin' iron crosses and whatever. Literally supporting neo-Nazis and shit. Love you, TriMet! At this hour, they're not gonna wave back, or they might wave. They're not gonna. Hey, I think he waved. They're definitely not gonna honk at this hour. They are not supposed to honk. They do sometimes, and we all love it when they do. But the main thing is, the more that people can get involved and do stuff together that isn't about politics, the more people are going to be able to, like, get together, talk to each other, become, like, rational human beings together. And we honestly, we do need that. We do need that. Okay, you're still in there. Are you a bunny or are you a rat? I still very much support the ideas of things like local government. I have just learned that a lot of things that the Republican Party has been pushing for basically my entire life are not things we should be pushing for. If you support the Constitution, if you believe in civil rights, if you believe in, they're in the wrong place. That doesn't mean Democrats are always in the right place. In fact, they're usually not. And as somebody who was a Republican can tell you, Republicans are mostly cowards who won't do what they say they're going to do. Well, Democrats are much the same. But I very much support the Constitution. I support civil rights. I believe that the government that works best is usually local government. There are times that's not true, but usually that's going to be the case. But at the same time, I am also willing to stand with the people I have met out here against stuff that is absolutely horrific. I mean, I've learned a lot about how much immigrants contribute to the population. I learned a long time ago, at least in this second administration, that people who are illegal immigrants are people who were legal immigrants yesterday. But you see, we're allowed to decide that today they're illegal immigrants. They had legal status, and we just decided for any reason or for none, we can revoke it. So we arrest them all, revoke it all, and then they're illegally here. Oh, and then also there's the plan to deport Native Americans because Indians are too brown, and several Americans have been deported, and oops, except not really oops, because they were brown. At some point, you can't say that there isn't a racial component. Love you, TriMed! There's our 40. Yep, there it is, 40. So back in 2016, when I said I wasn't going to support Trump in the primary, most people I knew who were Republicans decided they didn't want anything to do with me anymore. Mike here was one of the few people who didn't do that. And I know people on the left often said, Mike is a racist. No, he's not. Genuinely, he's not. I will say, I've been shocked to learn how many people who have an R after their name in their voter registration are racists. He's not one of them. If you're going to criticize somebody, you should actually criticize them for what they are, not for what they aren't. But, oh, I was on the topic of Iranian... No, I already finished that topic. Okay, yeah, I was mentioning that you can't really easily get from 60% enriched to 90% enriched. It's hard. it's like exponentially more difficult to go from 60 to 90 than it is to go from 6 to 60. They want the ability to say, we can make uranium at a purity that has no civilian purpose and just hold on to it. Because we can. That's a statement about their sovereignty more than it is anything else.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
I do not know her name. I do recognize her, but I do not know her name. I think all that's left at the moment are the chat's in the way. All that is left at the moment, I think, are the indigenous people around behind me. Everybody else has gone home. It makes sense. It's nearly 10 and there's not a ton going on. The indigenous people stay out here until after shift change and everything else. You'll notice I usually don't do that. I usually don't call them that. I won't say I never do. I sometimes do, but I usually don't. Because again, as I was saying, at some point, Trump's going to be gone. I hope they will learn from our four-footed critter is still there. At some point, they're going to learn from their mistakes, or they won't. I hope they will. I'm not going to promise that they're going to stop being right wing. That's not going to happen for probably a lot of them. And depending on the definition of right wing, they shouldn't. I did because I learned that what I had been taught about the Republican Party and its goals were based on establishing what became Project 2025, which is bad. At this point, we're working toward an extreme form of you will own nothing and be happy. And I'm not in favor of having my right to own things disappear. The problem with him in his case, the mental health evaluation is likely to be, yep, he's nuts. Yeah, I don't actually make anything off of. I don't make anything off of these videos generally. But by liking the video and mostly liking the video, it helps people see them. And that's not necessarily going to make it so I start making anything from the video, because I'm out here and there's often music, and when there's music, I make jack and shit. But I don't make anything even when there's not, because when there's not music, it's usually a slow night and there aren't enough people that YouTube is willing to give me anything. What I get even then is just from people who actually pay for YouTube, because you don't get ads on a live stream. If I wanted to get ads from a live stream, I should sign up for Twitch. Now they'll only give me half of what they get, but half of something would be better than all of nothing, right? That's, I think, why Nathan signed up for Twitch. I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in doing that, really. I possibly could be convinced, but nah. Well, at the end, I mean, I've even said, and I've said it multiple times, I've said of Tommy, I really wish his gaming stream would take off and he would stop harassing random ass people at not even protests, but just events. Random events. Like it's frickin' June, Gay Pride Month, and there's a Gay Pride event in a specific place that has kind of been sort of reserved for this event, and oh my god, you have to show up there to see if there's any kids there and harass the adults and really harassment. It isn't journalism what he's doing, it's harassment and trying to start fights and complete bullshit. I would much rather see him be successful as a gamer and stop doing that. Don't I want to see him punished for what he's done? That depends. Would doing that stop him from doing it again? What are the Democrat goals? To win an election. Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted like actual like policy goals? Democrats, at least the DNC, individual politicians will be different. The DNC is not all that interested in committing to fucking anything. They're committed to figuring out what it is they have to tell you that they will do in the future so that you will vote for them today. That is the honest truth about what the DNC is doing. Those who vote red are probably going, wait a minute, that sounds an awful lot like the RSC. Yeah, there's a reason why it sounds familiar. Sounds familiar because that's kind of what they do. And then you get people like Andy who are just goofballs. Yeah, the tariffs clearly did not do what Trump thought they were going to do. Probably because I don't think Donald Trump actually understood what tariffs are. What he understood is, we're going to make a lot of money off of these things. Now, truth be told, I don't think Donald Trump cares where that money comes from. Because he's redirected and siphoned a lot of it into things that do what he wants. So I don't think we're going to see anything else till shift change. Oh, they're not even going to the state governments. They're mostly going to the corporations. You're not getting a tariff rebate. Amazon is. If not you, it'll go to the state. And if your state isn't Oregon, you're not getting that back. I am more concerned about the international system of rules, which is far from perfect. The UN is a clusterfuck at the best of times. But the fact that the UN has existed and has been at least partially useful for something, and not just completely neutered, has been, you know, we haven't had a third world war. That's really what the UN was designed to prevent. Anything else it accomplishes was seen as kind of a side benefit. Has it accomplished much besides that? A little, here and there. Frankly, it does a lot wrong. But we're kind of looking at the possibility of resource wars now. That under the UN and, you know, the rules-based international system just would not have gotten very far because the entire world would stand up and say no. Now, the problem is the US was always assumed to be at least part of that system that was going to stand up and say no. And when the US decides that it's going to topple that system, there isn't enough interest from the rest of the world to keep it running. I mean, there's interest, but interest and $8 will get you a large coffee at Starbucks. The United States, being the, you know, titan of world politics that it has been, had proven necessary to keep the rules-based international relations system working. And with it gone, shit. And I mean, it's not completely gone, but it's barely holding on. China doesn't want the rules-based system because it wants to own, and claims it does own, everything from Taiwan to, you know, the international waters right up to the beach of other countries. You know, international waters and territorial water. It claims it owns it all. And it would expand to be all of that if it thought it could get away with it. And with Trump basically saying, yeah, we're not going to do shit. What's in it for us? The idea that the major reason why China has not decided to annex Taiwan formally is they don't know how to not lose TSMC in the process. Because if TSMC goes under or is destroyed, what was the point? Yeah, China would be, yes, we are strong and powerful. But China at least has enough sense to say looking strong and being strong are not the same thing. And China's pretty strong. But China's pretty strong largely because of the status quo, where a lot of stuff gets made in Taiwan and China. And the Taiwan part of that is going to go away if you destroy Taiwan in order to claim the land. The land isn't useful. Basically, China's more interested in the money than they are in the politics. They'll throw their weight around, and, you know, as long as you say that Taiwan is part of China, or at least as long as you don't say that it isn't as a government, then, you know, you just play along. And that's good for our ego, our national ego, and our hold on power. It doesn't have to actually be true. It just has to look true or sound true. And if we can accomplish that and continue to make money off of Taiwan existing and being a freer country than we are, then money's good. But if China could make it actually true, and if the international rule system goes away, they could, at least theoretically, then they would actually be strong. There are two major fabs left in the world. They are Intel and TSMC. And one of them ain't been doing too hot lately. They've sort of turned that around more recently, but it was pretty touch and go for a bit there. Sorry, I missed your question. Scrolling back. Sorry, chat sometimes jumps, so I miss things. Or now that I know I'm looking for it, I can, if you repost it, I will see it again, now that I'm looking for it. Because if you have a question, I would like to, bong. On YouTube, something you might want to look up for amusement. For whom the Taco Bell tolls. It is not Metallica. I hope the band has heard it and thinks it's hilarious. As a person who does not mind getting authentic American food from Taco Bell, I think it's a little crass and not safe for work. It's still funny. I didn't see your question, so could you please ask it again? I scrolled and didn't see it, so you gotta realize I get about 5 lines of text on my screen here. That was the thing about left boot, right boot, yes. Doesn't matter which it is. Did we get it yet? Scroll back to the bottom. It's cooled off a bit. Okay. Okay, tariffs. The issue is, a tariff is a tax paid by the buyer on imported goods. Now, you can also put a tariff on things that you're exporting that you expect other people to pay to buy. But either way, what a tariff is for, it was if foreign goods are coming into the country and they're too cheap, and you want to get people to buy American instead, these are import tariffs here. If you want to get people to buy American, even though American costs more, you put a tariff on the foreign product, which causes people to say, you know, like Japanese cars. You could put a tariff on Japanese cars to encourage people to buy a Ford or a Chevy. But if you do that, what you're really going to do is drive up the price of cars. Because people buy Japanese cars often because they're less expensive. And really, because the American car companies were pretty badly behaved and treated their customers like shit. So they were more expensive and they treated their customers like shit. You could get a better product more cheaply from Japan. And now most cars are made in Japan. At least most of the ones here. That's the issue with what a tariff does on imported goods. On an exported good, it's basically you're setting the price of your goods to be higher artificially because you want to discourage people around the world from buying your products. Why would you do that? I have no idea. It doesn't make sense in the modern world. The idea behind using tariffs is saying globalization doesn't work. It destroys economies and manufacturing, which it could. And it has. But you can't undo that by just slapping a tariff on it next week and calling it good. Because, okay, let's say you're going to bring back American manufacturing. Your goal is to bring back American manufacturing. Okay, I can get behind that. I like the idea of buying American when I can afford it. So you're going to make it more expensive to buy foreign goods? Or are you going to make it so that more domestic goods are produced and maybe more cheaply? If you're going to do the latter, I'm going to be able to buy more American. I don't have the income to buy American for a lot of things. I just don't have it. I fucking despise Amazon at this point. Amazon has replaced what used to be a lot of brands you know with a lot of catwalks on keyboard brand Chinese crap produced in sweatshop conditions from brands you don't know with warranties they won't honor. You basically have a 30-day warranty on anything you buy from Amazon because your only real chance of it getting fixed is to send it back to Amazon for an exchange. And you can do that for damn near any reason for 30 days. that's the problem with tariffs, is it doesn't actually solve that problem. It just makes that Chinese crap as expensive as an American-made product, which doesn't exist. And if you decide you're going to slap a tariff on it to make the American product exist, well, what happens? The American company has to import the parts to build the factories from foreign countries which have tariffs, which means the cost of building the factories didn't get cheaper, it got more expensive. And if the cost of producing American goods goes up, and they already can't get people to pay for it because it costs too much, that isn't a winning proposition. And I mean, I've got a Lodge cast iron pan, made in America. It actually makes sense that they would be made in America because cast iron is heavy and expensive to ship. So it makes sense that it would be, you know, a finished product would be made in America. It's not made as well as it used to be because Lodge used to sandblast their and polish their pans before seasoning them. Now you're getting the rough, unpolished pan, and it's not nearly non-stick. So if you buy a new Lodge pan, it's not going to be very non-stick. If you want to fix that, you can put on a respirator, take out an angle grinder, and polish it smooth and re-season it yourself. Somebody did that. The pan is awesome now. But they had to spend a couple hours with an angle grinder polishing it smooth and then re-seasoning it. If China... All right, guys. Have at it. It's yours. The wind just tossed my plate with what was left of my pizza, so I'm breaking it up for, well, not the bunnies, but for the rats, which are over there. There you go, guys. Let me go rescue my plate, because I don't know here. Rats are eating good tonight. Maybe a couple birds tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway. So the tariff thing is not going to solve the factory problem, which means it's not going to get us more American goods. So why do it? If it's not going to actually bring back manufacturing, why do it? Well, it's going to make us a lot of money, Trump said. And until the court said, no, it was making a lot of money. But for the federal government, not for us. Now, is this a valid way to generate some revenue? It can be. If you trust your federal government to spend your money better than you can. Now, I don't know about any of y'all, but I spent a good couple of decades being a Republican, and that was not a Republican value, that the federal government can spend my money better than I can. I'm skeptical now that I'm not a Republican, but as a Republican, it was universal. The government cannot spend my money better than I can. As a Democrat, I recognize, you know, Europeans pay way more in taxes than we do. Way more. Way, 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 way more than we do in taxes. But they enjoy universal health care that is better than better than most private insurance plans nowadays. And we spend more on our private insurance plans without factoring our taxes than they pay for the taxes that provide their universal health care. Why is it that they are getting better health care from the government than we are getting paying for it ourselves? Well, because we decided to insert the insurance companies as a middleman into it, and the insurance companies don't give a fuck about whether or not we have good medical coverage. They're interested in, we're going to make a lot of money. And they are. They aren't interested in providing the best care possible. They're interested in providing the cheapest care possible. Which is one reason why Kaiser Permanente was, for the longest time, so much better than so many other things, because they provided the insurance, but they also provided the health care, which meant they could always make sure that they gave themselves the best price, but it also meant that whatever they were taking in terms of income to pay for providing medical, they were making a healthy profit off of making sure people were healthy. And people wanted Kaiser because Kaiser did it so well. When Kaiser stopped doing it so well, people stopped being as interested. And Kaiser is still better than many options that exist. Oh, there's a rat. Hello, rat. Nope, that's for you. Go ahead. Mr. Rat came out for some pizza. No, I'm not gonna 5-second rule pizza that's landed on the sidewalk. No thanks. The wind blew it clean off the plate. I'm like, at that point, it belongs to the indigenous life of the city. If you work in an industry that there is foreign competition, you love tariffs on your foreign competitors. The problem is when you have universal tariffs, and Donald Trump wanted 50% tariffs across the board for the entire world, including the island that has only penguins on it. Universal tariffs, I mean, universal tariffs aren't useful, and you have to apply them strategically. Do you know what one place that we did have tariffs before that made a lot of sense? We tariffed the shit out of milk headed to Canada at a certain point. Canada produces its own milk, but they also import milk from the United States. It's often more convenient. However, if there is a reduction in output in Canada, they need to import more milk from the United States. When their imports cross the threshold, the tariff was massive on milk beyond a certain amount. So it was a conditional tariff. Very cool. Now, does that come through on the on the camera, or is it too pixelated to let me see if I can. I can't really tell. Can you guys see the rainbow in the corona? the clouds might make it so you can see that. It might be continuous now, but it was never intended to be. There was a point at which it was a threshold. And the threshold was fairly low, but the threshold was useful for, like, there's a couple of cities that straddle the border. There's a couple of them. And for those cities, it might make more sense to get the milk from the U.S. side of the border. And the amount of milk that was necessary to satisfy those cities doesn't hurt American dairies one bit. They can totally produce that much. Doesn't hurt, U.S. supply. But things happen, and when there's a need for a larger supply so that it constrains the U.S. supply, that's when an export tariff makes sense. And it's supposed to be carefully considered by people who know what the fuck they're doing and can apply an appropriate tariff to an appropriate product to help prevent harm to Americans, constrained supply, or, difficulties with jobs. That's what tariffs are for, is to help keep things from hurting Americans. So I won't say that tariffs should not exist, but this idea of we're just going to put a tax on all imports that Americans are going to pay, by the way, as a way to make sure that people buy American instead, that's dumb. That's not how that works. Okay, yeah, I realize that there's lots of people who really don't like Nico. I don't know enough about Nico to have an opinion about that, but from what I have heard, I suspect I would not like Nico either. But, no. I don't even want to know what drugs any Trump is on. Make Iran great again. Oh. Does that get sold right alongside the Make Israel Great Again app for, trying to convince people that no, Trump still has Israel's best interest at heart? Oh, it was probably cocaine. That figures. I don't care. Let him snort whatever the fuck he wants. The fact is that every single member of the Trump family has committed enough crimes at this point that if those crimes get prosecuted, well, they're all going to prison, and they're all going to have a much harder time getting drugs, so let them enjoy what they can while they can. That exactly. I'm going to read that one out loud. It doesn't matter if you like Nico or not. It was sick what happened to her. Wouldn't want it to happen to anyone. That, exactly. See, it's one thing to say that our side is better than their side. when people on our side are doing stuff like that, can we really say that's true? If you actually want to be better than them, then you have to be better than them. If you don't care, well, that's unfortunate, and I'm sorry that you don't want to be better than what I perceive the people who have done some pretty damn distasteful things to other people to be. How Trump is using tariffs is literally as a blanket. He's applying blanket. It's like everything from China is going to have 125%, and not for any actual reason. It's because China pissed him off. 140% because China pissed him off. He wanted, initially it was 10% from everybody for everything, global tariffs. And then it was, I really want it to be 50% global tariffs on everyone. Everything coming into the United States, 50% tariff. That's what he wanted. But in some places it was 10, in some places it was 15, in some places it was 25, 35, 40. China disrespected Donald Trump. So the tariff went up to 140%. There's no strategy to that. There's no benefit to the American people to that. That hurts American people. That's all it does. The only reason that tariff existed was because his ego was bruised. The party of fuck your feelings, well, Trump had his fifis hurt, and he can't abide that. How dare you disrespect him? Do you dare disrespect me? Come on, Donnie, you know me better than that. Of course I dare disrespect you. Oh God, I can only imagine what he wrote when I get home. See, my chat is kind of jumping around, sometimes up higher, sometimes down lower. It really was about Trump. And I mean, he said it was about raising revenue, but then you find he keeps giving out like no bid contracts and preferential treatment to his people and his friends and his friends' friends. Government contracts are awarded based on who has been the nicest to Trump. And then you got, like the CEO of Apple, who is gay as fuck, giving Trump a special award. You had the FIFA Peace Prize because Donald Trump didn't get a peace prize. That's not going to make Gus be quiet. I'm pretty sure that is Gus over there. Gus is a very barky dog. Basically, Donald Trump was using tariffs as a way to make people be nice to him and flatter him and give him personal gifts and bribes. That Qatari jet, $400 million, and then $1 billion of taxpayer money to turn it into Donald Trump's personal flying fortress. and I do mean Donald Trump's personal flying fortress. It's now going to be Air Force One. No, it's going to be Air Force One for 2 years. And then it's going to be Donald Trump's personal plane. That was a bribe. And the reason why they gave Trump a $400 million bribe was because it meant that they would get favorable treatment. They'd get contracts, government contracts. They would get a break from the tariffs. They would get whatever they wanted from him because they're his friends. I don't know, maybe a few teenage girls. No, come on, they get their own. Well, I try to at least, the first thing I try to do is, if I'm not sure or don't know, I will just say I don't know. And when I say that I don't really know what exactly Qatar gets out of giving Trump this bribe, I don't. Like, I can make some, educated guesses based on the fact that they're an oil country, but realistically, I don't know what they bought, but I know that they were basically buying a U.S. president. And it only cost them $400 million. And he should have been impeached that day for accepting it. Not on permanent display. He's expected to continue using it. It will be there when he is not flying in it, but he expects to continue to use it as a personal plane. When somebody asked him about that, where's the clip for that? Oh, I don't remember which network had it. Somebody literally asked him, is this plane going to be on display like the one in the Reagan library? The answer is, I don't know. I mean, it's a perfectly good plane. I don't know why I shouldn't be able to just continue using it. And of course, if Trump says, I don't see why I shouldn't be able to do something, what that means is he plans on doing it because he doesn't actually ask permission. Just like when Trump says, I don't see why I shouldn't be able to run for a third term. Well, it's against the Constitution. He's still selling merch that says he's running in 2028. Donald Trump has this pattern where he says that he's going to do it, and he says, well, people say I shouldn't do it, but I think I should be able to do it, and then he just does it. That plane is his personal jet. Mark my words, if that man does not end up in prison, that is his plane, and if they try to prosecute him after removing him from office, he's likely to try and use it to flee the country. You can come back and tell me on June 18th, no. He was arrested gracefully. He didn't try to flee the country. And the jet was put on permanent display as a no longer flying museum piece. We'll see. I think it's not going to happen that way because I think he is likely to either die in office, in which case it won't matter what's done with the plane. It might end up on display in that case, or oh hush, Gus, settle down. It's the most barky dog ever. That's not even on the list, but USAID was a big part of what USAID did was make sure that that the rest of the world's problems stayed in the rest of the world. I mean, that seems crass, but that's basically what we did. We let the rest of the world's problems be their problems. Getting rid of USAID made the rest of the world's problems our problem. Gus is a good dog. A loud dog, but a good dog. I swear that dog would bark at a shadow. In fact, does bark at shadows. Oh, we're getting toward moonset. Now that is a cool picture right there. Can you guys see right up there above that tree the sort of rainbow of a corona? It's kind of a dark rainbow. It doesn't have all the colors. It only has red and blue. Variations thereupon. I mean, there's some purple, there's some white in it, but there's no green. There's not really orange. What's fake in Portland? Well, Donnie's like having the other coloring books. That's not nice. It's funny, but it's not nice. Okay, it's only 2:41. If I go down to the, if I go on down to the memorial, what do you want to bet? They immediately flood out of the building. What do you want to bet? You know, a big part of it is a lot of this stuff is intended to be difficult to follow and difficult to understand. And I don't even understand half of it myself. The difference between me and the average pundit is if I don't know, I will say I don't know. I think it's better off if we say we don't know things, especially when, you know, when we don't know things, we have the opportunity to go and look them up and learn. And if you don't know what a tariff is, and you ask the question, and somebody says it's a tax paid by the buyer, I thought it was supposed to be a tax paid by the seller. No, it's a tax paid by the buyer. And you look that up and you find out, oh, yeah, the seller technically just raises, the seller technically, the importer specifically pays the tariff. However, the importer then just raises the price to pass it on to the retailer. The retail pays that and passes it on to the customer. It's not paid by the seller, it's paid by the buyer. The importer, the retailer, and the customer. And once you realize that, you have to realize that why people are saying that's not good for us. Because ultimately, anything imported into the US, we're the buyer. So many people have gone from like not ever following the news to now they're paying attention because holy shit, what is this really what it sounds like? And now they're paying attention. That's why I think Democrats are going to win 2026 in a landslide. However, Democrats winning 2026 in a landslide does not guarantee them 2028. Trump will not be on that ballot. He might think he's going to try and get himself on that ballot, but the fact is, Republicans are not going to let him be on that ballot. They won't support him, and they're not going to be in power to support him if they wanted to. Trump's done at the end of this term, if he makes it that far. Love you, TriMet. If he's still alive and kicking, he's done. And after he's done, okay, guys, the camera is very tilted so that the driveway is fairly even. If I do that, now we're more even with the street, mostly. Yeah, about there. But the driveway is tilted. You guys have an actual preference. I often tilt for the driveway. I'm still I'm still off axis because the whole tripod's a bit tilted. But the thing is, 2028 is not guaranteed for Democrats. 2026 probably is. But 2028 is not guaranteed. People are voting Democrat right now. All are welcome. Love you, TriMet. That's a different all are welcome bus. The front runner for the Democrats in 2028 is currently a ham sandwich. They want you to believe it's Gavin Newsom because the DNC wants Gavin Newsom. But the DNC hasn't figured out how they lost 2024 to Donald Trump yet. And because they haven't figured that out, maybe they should not just get whatever they want just because they say they want it. Officially, they can't actually say they want anyone, but they're definitely... So, if the election were held today, Gavin Newsom would be your candidate, right? No. If the election were held today, or at least the primary were held today, I'd be voting AOC. Isn't she awfully young? Yeah, she is. But the primary is where we pick the candidates we want. And the only candidate I can see in the race right now that I want is AOC. She's not officially in the race yet, but come on, she's gearing up to run for president in 2028. She's awfully young. She was 28 in 2016, which means she could not run before 2024. She's that young. 2024 is the first time that she would have been old enough to run, which means she ain't gonna be much over 40. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with somebody in their early 40s being president at this point, if it's the right somebody. You know, I imagine there are probably some Republican stereotypical Muslims in the country, like kind of like people I should not trust to not be insane and violent and dangerous. I'm sure they exist. I don't think I've met any. Maybe I have. But I don't think I've met any. At least, I have no evidence that any I have met are those people. That said, I have met some people who are Christian, who I know are crazy and dangerous and violent, and yeah. So I don't know if any of the Muslims I have met are like that, but I do know some Christians I have are. The people who are Muslim and serious about it, I've met some people who were probably raised Muslim, but they don't appear to have a religion that they're all that terribly interested in paying attention to. The people who I know are practicing Muslims. They keep their faith. I am Catholic. I keep my faith. Now, you might notice my faith says some things about certain things that are sins, and I have met people whose lifestyles and personal behaviors and identity, literally their identity, can be described as sin, and are by the Catholic Church. Have you noticed I don't treat these people like shit? I have my faith. I don't have to treat people who do not share my faith like they are somehow... First of all, I don't have to treat them like they're beholden to my faith, because they aren't. Secondly, I don't have to treat them like they're somehow lesser beings, like they're lesser people. Let's assume for a second I were trying to convert y'all to Catholicism right now. I'm trying to make y'all Catholic. Seems like the first thing I should do if I want to convert you all to Catholicism is berate you for whatever you're doing that the Catholic Church says is a sin. Is that what Jesus did? Because, you know, you always see Christians going around, what would Jesus do? I'll tell you what Jesus would do. He would sit down and share a meal with the sinner. That is the first thing he would do. He wouldn't berate them about their sin. They would know who he was, and not even realizing the whole, you know, Son of God, whatever. No. They would know him as a deeply spiritual man and someone with a presence, a teacher, a person of authority. And they would know that they didn't measure up to the standards that he espoused. And these sinners who came up to him would say, I am not, I mean, someone walks up to him, I'm a whore. And he's like, have a seat, have a meal. But I'm a whore. That doesn't mean you don't have to eat. Sit. Join me. That's what Jesus would do. Now, if you tell me you commit some sin and you share my faith, and you ask me, what does my faith teach about this thing that you are doing that is a sin? I'll tell you what my faith teaches. And I would tell you you should pray about it, and you should maybe talk to a priest. And, you know, if you're concerned about what your faith says about what you are doing, then maybe that is telling you that there is a conflict. And I can't tell you how that conflict resolves itself. Because part of this whole like free will thing is that you have a choice. And if you believe that what you're doing is not a sin, and your faith says that it is, you might be in the wrong faith. I can tell you that some of these things that some of the people I have known have done that are sins according to my faith are the same class of sin that other people I have known in my life have committed. Like, on par with being unfaithful to your spouse, or having sex outside of marriage. A lot of sins that people commit seem to be sex-related. Those are the same sins. Have I disowned people in my life because they were unfaithful to a spouse or had sex before marriage? Probably would have to disown most people, because most have done one or the other or both. Honestly, I would much rather say it is genuinely none of my business. And let my friends, my neighbors, my family be who they are. It isn't my place to tell them that they are somehow bad in God's sight or my sight. Certainly not my sight. Who the fuck gave me the right to judge them? Seriously, who the fuck gives me the right to judge someone else? That doesn't mean I don't judge some people. I've offered some judgments on some people. I certainly have some judgments about Donald Trump, and I've shared them. But when we're talking about spiritual matters, who the fuck gave me the right to decide what God will and will not forgive? How presumptuous of me. So I don't. I just don't. Sorry, I've been ignoring chat for a bit there. I got off on a rant. See, the thing about making fun of Muslims is I don't feel right making fun of Muslims much because I'm not a Muslim. I'll make fun of Christians all fucking day long. But I am a Christian, so I feel entitled to do that. We arrest natural-born citizens and their families if they don't break the law. Arrests are not convictions. And if you're throwing someone in prison, literally a concentration camp, on the accusation of having broken a law, and they never get to go before a judge, nor even get a lawyer, the justice system has failed. That ain't how it's supposed to work. And we don't, under any circumstances, if a parent is arrested, arrest the child too. The problem is, a lot of these people have applied for and received legal status, and then Trump just decides, yeah, your status ain't legal anymore. Because we say it's not. Oh, you don't get a lawyer. You're getting thrown out of the country. Just like that. Goodbye. That's not how this is supposed to work. It's not how any of this is supposed to work. If you had a legal right to work in the United States, you are not an illegal immigrant. And if you think you are an illegal immigrant, you're a moron. Having the right to legally work and pay taxes in the United States does not make you an illegal immigrant. It makes you the opposite of that. That's what having that means. You are a legal resident if you choose to stay and are given permission to stay. You have become an immigrant. If you then decide to go on and do the process to become a citizen, you're not only an immigrant, you become a citizen immigrant. Start with yourself, buddy. After all, birthright citizenship shouldn't exist. You shouldn't be a citizen just because you were born here. So says King Shitpants the Worst. If you want to go down that road, that's where that leads.
How goes it?
All right, a few people in here tonight are suggesting that anybody who is not a citizen does not have legal status and can be deported as an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, it's too bad the Supreme Court said 9-0 that, being in the United States means you're entitled to constitutional protections.
It really...
Regardless of your immigration status.
Yes.
That's even this ridiculous Republican
Yup.
court, 9-0.
Yup.
So they are incorrect.
Yeah. But that's why they're just ignoring the court's rulings, because Jackson is Trump's favorite president.
Yeah.
Let them enforce it if they can.
Right, yeah. I mean, you throw 100 things at the wall, if 3 of them stick, that's still pretty good.
The problem is he's been reduced to flinging shit.
Yeah. Hey, shit sticks.
I mean, it does when it's that liquid. That's all right. I often forget to set my channel to... I don't set subscriber mode, but I do set... I do set subscriber mode. I don't set member mode for the chats, and I often forget to do it, and I forgot to do it again tonight. I forget most nights, and one of my mods, actually a couple of my mods, could change it. They often don't. So and Chris is just sitting there going, shit, I can do that, I forgot. Yeah, me too.
We'll leave my bag over here by you.
I won't be running away real soon, so.
For sure.
I would have gone down to the circle, but the moment I go to the memorial, that's when they will flood out as soon as the camera's not on them. So what I might consider doing is leaving you guys guarding the gate for a minute and go down. Oh, shit. Well, y'all have fun. It was good to hear from Mike. I'm glad he is well. I have not checked in on most of my former Republican friends because I'm afraid that most of them are still MAGA. Mike, I was pretty sure he was always a libertarian. He was supporting Trump because he thought that Trump was going to do some, useful stuff, but even his first term, Mike was like, I don't know, I don't think I like that.
Unlock. Here at 1-9.
There's definitely not going to be anything on any medical. There usually aren't. But that means I can set the other VFO to It's a U-Haul truck! Are there Legos in there? Brick by brick, buddy! I really loved Victoria when I was there. It was a long time ago. I went up there chasing a girl. It would not have worked out had I found reason to go back. But can't imagine that she will run across my channel and go, oh, I know that guy. But if she does, and if she's watching, love you, Shar, miss you. She is quite probably very happily married. I met the man that she probably would have married, and he was a very nice guy. And I think if the two of them got married together, they would be pretty happy with each other. So. Things happened. We ended up in very different worlds. There are ICE agents in that building. They stopped being there stopped being ICE agents in that building. But that has changed. There are again. They're just too chicken shit to come out and talk to us. Well, I mean, they're never going to come out and talk to us. If they're coming out, they're either sneaking out the back way because I'm the only one out here that's like watching, or they are waiting for me to turn off the camera or move away, and then there will be like 6 cars leaving. All that building really requires is some Federal Protective Service to maintain it, and that'd be like 2 cars. But no, there's been an exodus of 5 or 6 at night coming out of there and taking people elsewhere to their vehicles because they can't really. People have been leaving in their official vehicles and going to their other site. They're such chicken shits. That did not sound good. That sounded like a very big pop.
APB rolling back slow for the second time here.
Oh, they're coming back. Why? Probably so that they can be the security blanket for the assholes so they can leave.
Right.
PPB officers gonna be like, seriously, there's one guy out there with a camera. Go home. Fucking chicken shit. Yeah, tomorrow's Juneteenth, so Defend themselves against what? A guy sitting across the street with a camera? Fuck.
I don't know, we are pretty scary. So. I've been told I'm not that inviting of a person.
I'm an asshole.
Exactly. They say two things when I die. He was an asshole. Yep.
I think our rat friends are discovering the rest of the pizza that I dropped over there.
Oh yeah.
Wind blew it right off the right off of the
Travel tray. That's one of those stools.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's just about plate size, and the wind decided that
Headlights. No lights. You got no lights on. There you go.
yeah, Portland Portland
Have you
is
seen the owl down here?
I haven't.
Like I've seen it.
I've mostly
for
seen
last week.
I've seen a rat a couple of times, and once or twice the bunny.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 3 bunnies that live under that third bush over there. So if you like sit in the train, like they'll come out. Like, but if you're out walking around. I'm fine with the owl eating the rats. I don't know how I feel about him eating the rabbits.
If you think that these protests are not peaceful after watching my stream, I am out here 5 nights a week. Yes, these are peaceful. The only time they are not peaceful is when MAGA shows up to start a fight. They come out here, they bring weapons, they deploy them, and then you get 7 police cars drive by without bothering to stop because man with a gun.
You get an ambulance that won't come for an hour and 40 minutes while you're sitting on the road with a broken leg.
People stand right there in front of the driveway, and they move out of the way when cars come through, assuming they're not moving at 55 miles an hour. 55 miles an hour, you might not have time to move. Yeah. I can tell you who does who did the damage. Some people who are not out here every night have a couple of times knocked the gate off its hinges. It just needs to be lifted up and put back on its hinges. Some people were arrested when they broke a window a year and a half ago now. No, about a year ago. That was before the plywood went up.
Faced any real time.
Huh?
He's the only one who's actually facing any real time.
Well, I mean, he actually committed some serious vandalism.
Right, yeah.
Justifiably.
On camera.
On camera.
With his face open and a tattoo on his arm.
Justifiably at that point. If you're going to, I tell people, and that weekend that on Friday, somebody brought out several boxes full of dildos,
yes,
which was hilarious. Several dildos got thrown into the property. A few of them ended up on the roof, not where anybody couldn't get them, but you know.
Nunchuck style.
I've said verbally, and I actually put it in the description on my video, since me posting that it was going to happen was basically encouraging people to show up, I guess. Don't do anything your mama would not be proud of you for doing. Now, my mama would have been throwing dildos too, at least a couple. So, of course, I had to chuck one over there for her. Actually, I think it was about 4.
So you say all kinds of stuff online.
Oh my God, I was littering! Littering! Give me a fine. It's the one time I have actually, no, the second time, although the second time I have not been told, I have never been told that I cannot cross that driveway. I have never personally been trespassed. And the line on the driveway says, do not block.
Right.
I have never blocked. So,
Yeah, being good trouble is slowly crossing.
One time, I walked across that blue line holding up my tripod so that I could see there were a group of people sitting in the driveway. They could have been blocking, assuming they didn't move. I think they did move, but if they did not move when needed, they could have been arrested for blocking.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was, because I think they moved when they needed to. But there was.
The thing is, we don't break the law here in our protest. We push the law.
There's some people who break a law or two now and then.
I don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Most of us that are here don't.
There are a few people who come in at like 4 a.m. who will. I mean, they're responsible for some of this tagging over here, and they've scrawled some things on the building over there. Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that helps Trump's people, not us.
I love the little Care Bear though, over on the other corner. The little pink Care Bear on the curb over here.
Was that spray painted or was that acrylic?
No, it's drawn. It's drawn on from the. I think it was when they were doing the chalk and the paintbrushes.
Chalk, no problem with it whatsoever. It washes off.
Yeah.
Acrylic, it washes off a little more slowly. If you want it to come off now, it'll come off now. But if you don't want it to come off now, the rain will remove it in about 5 rains. It's the summer month. It's staying all summer.
Right. Yeah.
But if you want to hose it off, you can get rid of it.
Artistic talent, so I love how good it looks.
Yeah. And some of the graffiti, I think, that has been painted over where the blue line is. If you watch the wagon a bit, I will go over and show these guys.
Yeah.
There is some graffiti down where the blue line is.
There's some new good stuff over there.
I don't know if it was spray painted or if it was acrylic. I would prefer it have been acrylic, but if it isn't, it is at least the more artistic sort of. Who the hell is doing donuts out here? Good grief. I am zoomed way in. Sorry, guys. Not stopping in the middle of the street to fix it. Okay. Somebody is like seriously doing like donuts in the street here. Look at that. Damn. All right. Zooming out. There we go. All right. So we have some stuff like this that is more like, it's still graffiti, but some of this stuff is at least more artistic, and this is new. And if that was done with spray paint, I'm not a fan. If it was done with acrylic, I don't care. Antifa looking good as always. Cripifying as all hell, but hey, that is normal. Let's not walk into the pole, Joseph. He says, as he almost walks into a pole. Turning the camera around because if I don't, they will use right then. The tree looks fine. I mean, it's creepy. I wonder if the tree is not getting enough water. It has been pretty dry and hot lately.
According to the Republicans, it's because there's stuff hanging from the branches. They're killing the tree.
They're not killing the tree.
Exactly.
They're not killing the tree. It looks fine.
If it lived through the gassing of the last summer, it's going to be fine this year.
I just worry that it's been so hot that it might not be getting enough water. We've got some houseplants that really have not handled the heat well.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're going to hide until I leave. Until I actually leave. Fucking chicken shits. It is a beautiful tree. Some of the people who take care of the memorial, I think they also take care of the tree. We have one person who comes out here and decorates the tree. There may be other people who assist with the tree decoration, but there's one person that is the thing that she does, is she decorates the tree. And the result is generally creepy. I'm starting to pack up here a bit because it is time. I could stay out here till 2 in the morning and wait for them to leave, and if they decide that they're not leaving until somebody at 4 in the morning tagging the building with some bullshit is not exactly a violent protest. And if you really, really, really want to arrest somebody for damaging public property because they come out at 4 in the morning, you got 20 Federal Protective Service in there and you got one guy doing it, come out and arrest the motherfucker. And charge him with destruction of federal property. The judge is going to laugh and say, I'll tell you what, I'm giving him vandalism and sending all of you out of my fucking courtroom. Now, if you actually want to charge him with vandalism, the judge won't laugh at you, neither will I. You may have trouble getting, I won't get in federal court, but you may have a hard time getting the DA to actually press those charges because it just wants to waste time. Given all of the other graffiti that they seem not to actually give a damn about. But if they actually cleaned it up and started, enforcing the laws against, graffiti.
Got a big rabbit out across the street right now.
Ooh. Let me see if I can catch him.
It's down in front of the train station.
Trying to see if I can focus.
They come from the fenced-in yard over there.
There we go. Focusing now so I can actually see what I'm looking at. I mean, at least part of the problem with the petty stuff is the Portland DA does not have the time or interest to enforce petty crimes like vandalism, and they're just not going to. Part of that is, they wouldn't mind doing it themselves. They're law-abiding and all that, so they won't. But they'd like to. But really, it's, they have actual crimes. They have, car thefts, and they have, domestic violence, and, rape, and they have actual crimes that happen in cities. And these crimes kind of have to be higher priority. They have to be higher priority. Pointing back at the driveway so that when they sneak out, because they see me packing up, no, at this point they'd wait for us. Or, what they almost certainly did was go out the back way. Because they can. Generally speaking, I have heard people coming up in the bushes behind me. I've seen people in the shadow. I can see better in shadows than you can. That's pretty much just a given. Because what I see versus, okay, through the camera, you can see the driveway, right? My understanding is that because the lights are off, for most people, the driveway is a lot darker in person than it is through my camera. Would you say that is true, random sighted person?
Yeah.
What?
Definitely the camera shows it better than in real life.
Yeah. It's brighter for me than it is on the screen. What I see is brighter than that. Shadows ain't that dark for me.
Yeah, if they had the lower level lights on, you could see from over
Oh,
here.
easily.
Yeah, tonight it's low light. You get the best pictures of the art over there though, when it's not the real sharp white light.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was Revere. Surprised that got picked up, despite the fact that I managed to topple the antenna sideways. Just GMRS. But I'm officially a medic now, so.
Nice.
I mean, all the rules that they say to follow as a medic, I basically don't or can't follow them. They say, you shouldn't allow yourself to be distracted by anything else. Keep your head on a swivel, hyper awareness for, not just situational awareness, situational hyper awareness.
Yeah.
If you're talking to somebody, you should be paying attention to what's going on behind you, just in case, because medics tend to be targeted first.
Right.
Because we're the ones that help if somebody else gets targeted.
Well, that's why you set your medic tents up at least a block away and evacuate people to the site. Get them out of the smoke and leave the tent.
It was 6 blocks away when they bombed the entire neighborhood. But I think people were a bit away and people moved quickly.
Yeah, whenever, the gas down here goes one of 3 ways.
Yeah.
Down that street, back at them.
Back at them.
So.
That's always funny.
Yeah.
It's always funny when those assholes gas themselves.
You're pretty safe setting up one block out and one block over.
Unless they do what they did on January 31st.
Yeah.
Then,
Even that wasn't that bad. It wasn't anything crazy.
well, that was when I got gassed. It was bad enough that my cane was folded up in my pocket. Now it's even worse, it's in the wagon. But it was in my pocket, folded up. And I was moving over to here, and I was getting ready to pull it out to cross the street because they said, oh, they're about to start, if they're going to do something, they're going to do it now. They're lining up behind the gate.
Right.
Anybody who's got PPE, you want to put it on right now. So I'm getting ready to cross. I was, since I'm telling the story, I might as well at least point to you guys. I was right there at that near yellow bumpy thing. There's a name for that, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. So literally across the street, but trying to come over here and move back because I figured if they were gonna, there's 1,000 people out here, but if there's maybe 4 or 5 people who are moving up into the driveway to be irritating,
Yeah.
they're likely to get gassed. They're gonna be like, yep, we're gonna drop a tear gas canister right here, or we're gonna pepper ball, pop, 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 pop. Basically tell them, go away.
Yeah, I was up there by the triangle and they shot a can under my wheelchair because I was still in the chair then.
They do that on purpose,
Right.
I've learned. They target the disabled. So, when I'm still zoomed in. One of these days you'd think I would learn to pay attention to how much I am zoomed in or out. So I was over there trying to come back over here, and they started throwing, these guys mostly, they started throwing tear gas grenades. Now you'd think, if you got 4 people out of 1,000, there's 1,000 people kind of milling around in the street, but you got 4 people who've walked down the driveway into your space, you drop a tear gas canister right in front of them to say, move. And maybe you do the tear gas because you also want to encourage the people behind them, move the fuck back. You're not on our property, but we want you to move away from our building. That is not what they did. They threw up and over those 4 into the crowd behind them, so that if these people who were in the driveway wanted to get out of the smoke, they were out of the smoke. They were in the driveway. They threw over them to hit the crowd behind them, and there were 8-year-olds. Oh my God, such threatening 8-year-olds. Fucking children. My God. How could they do such a thing? So horrifying. Children. They're so destructive. They were standing there and asking for treats. How dare they? And they didn't just throw a canister. They threw grenade, 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 grenade. And there's like 10 of them doing that over and over again. It was a hail of tear gas and flashbang grenades. And I wouldn't swear there wasn't some hexachlorothane in there as well. I do know that there was some dye marking smoke, green and orange. Some people will mistake the green marking smoke as hexachlorothane, because the hexachlorothane is often green. It isn't always green, though. But they used all of those things that weekend. And when people say, it's just tear gas, hexachlorothane is nerve gas. Tear gas causes you to cry a little bit and cough. It's like eating hot peppers. It's not the same thing, but it's like that. It's the active ingredient. Hotter than the peppers, but it's the active ingredient that's in the peppers.
Yeah, on the 28th, we all got sick with like a flu-like thing for almost 2 weeks.
Hexachlorothane?
January one.
I didn't get anything from that one.
I said the January 28th when you were talking about, a lot of us got sick with like flu-like symptoms for almost 2 weeks after that.
Wonder
Like
what they
even
do.
wearing our PPE, like it absorbed through our skin. And
Oh,
we
they
had,
were
like, flu-like symptoms.
that would have been the hexachlorothane. Hexachlorothane causes lung failure, liver damage, cancer, neurological symptoms.
Yeah, my kidney levels
Death.
were off. Like I had to go and
Yeah, they threw hexachlorothane. The 31st, it was. they did throw hexchlorothane that weekend. So that was Saturday. I got gas, and I was right there, like I said, that near yellow pad, getting ready to cross the street when they started throwing. I kind of stumbled, holding my jacket over my head. I don't know if it did any good, but I know that powder tends to settle. So it maybe did something for me, because I was awfully close. So, I walked 3 blocks down that way, and then 3 blocks down that way. And I managed to stumble 2 of those blocks down that way by myself, unable to see and unable to breathe. At that point, one of the medics grabbed me, took me the 3rd block, and then all the way the 3 blocks down to the river. Passed me off and went back to get somebody else. And what I said was, after they passed me off, somebody else had water bottles filled with saline, like this one right here. I've got about 6 of these, and these have a pop top and a squirt lid, or it's squirt top on it, and you just spray the oh shit, sorry. Didn't realize I was going quite that far. Anyway,
There's no one else coming.
so literally, of course, I wasn't even in frame, because why would I be in frame? Yeah, pressure. Pressure is good. Since I'm going to refill this anyway, this is just saline. You make it with distilled water and sea salt. I hope I didn't get him too bad.
No, you didn't get him. It was close, but you didn't get him. I bet it scared the first one.
Okay, I bet the second one was hilarious.
Right.
So yeah, that's just saline made with that's a 24-ounce bottle. So a tablespoon and a half of sea salt in distilled water. You need to replace them about once a month or so, and that's where we're at. We're at the time to replace. So anyway, I've got 6 of those bottles with me, because if they do that again, I am ready for them to do that again. Or at least I will be after I refill the bottle, and it's 5 friends. Sterile saline could be kept because it's sealed and it's sterile. This is just salty distilled water, so it does what it needs to do to wash out your eyes, but you should redo it. And it's time. Anyway, so what I said was, in the time it took for somebody to take me to safety and then wash out my eyes, I could have grabbed 6 people, because they do kind of a. Would you mind providing a medical practice dummy for a second?
I don't want to be on camera, really.
Oh,
no,
okay. You basically would take somebody basically like this by the shoulders. Can you tell me if I'm at least in frame?
You are, yeah.
Okay.
Here, let me.
Love you, TriMed! I always wave to the bosses. But you take somebody like this by the shoulders and you walk them away. But see, the thing is, a blind person getting help would be like, let me take your arm, and they'll take your elbow, or if they're taking the arm of a blind person and they're on the other side where they're using a cane, hard to take my left arm because I am walking with a cane into a hole backwards. I'm walking with a cane, so this arm is moving with the cane. So that's not a really good arm to hold on to, but I can still take two people because the other thing we do is hand on your shoulder. Okay, you on my left, hand on my shoulder, you on my right, take my elbow. I got a cane, I got two people, we're moving. And I can move at a good speed. So I can do that with two people. So that means in the time it took for me to get help from two people, one to take in and another to do the water bottles, I can help 6 people in that time period. Or if I'm out of it, I got 6 water bottles. That's enough to help 6 people. And we're starting to move to the idea that we use, get in there, we are starting to use small first aid kit. My regulars have seen this already, but in case somebody was rummaging around in here. Tourniquet in case we need to keep you from bleeding out, because that's happened. Oh, there's my Sharpie. Alright, I need to restructure this because somebody was rummaging around in it and didn't put things back where I expect them to be. We started carrying these. That big bottle that does 2 eyes, this syringe also does 2 eyes. This is a lot easier to carry. And these are sterile. So these are technically better, but I mean, I could make the saline and load up the syringes and just wash the syringes and do the same thing I do with the bottles. Because oftentimes if you get really sprayed, you need more than, you need to have your eyes washed out, and then 10-15 minutes later you need to have them washed out again. We have a solution to help with that.
Oh, here come your cars.
Oh. These. We have 1, 2. They finally gave up. They decided they want to go home. Just 2?
So that white Jeep and the other one come out like 1 car at a time, and then later on you'll have like 6 or 8 come
Oh,
out.
the ones who are willing to wait a little longer.
Right.
Wait till I leave. They're probably going to get what they want tonight. I'm not likely to stay out much later.
Yeah, the only reason I'm still here is you're here. When do you want me to go?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know Ground Zero's pretty pissed off today. So.
Oh. You know, the thing is, the MAGA folks don't usually fuck with me in any way. And it's largely because I don't fuck with them either.
Yeah.
I stay away. I don't bother them. I mean, I'll walk right past them. But I'm sure they're aware that if I'm walking right past them, carrying a tripod and not much else,
Yeah.
at about the time I realize that I'm about to walk right into them, I go around them and go about my own thing. Because I'm not there for them.
Yeah. They used to hound me a lot when I was in the chair, so I went back to it.
There's a few of them. They got just about an entire mini pizza tonight. It's about the size of a slice of pizza from, you know, Domino's or whatever, but they came 2 in a pack and I had 2 of them, so that's what I made. So anyway, yeah, that's most of what we do out here is wash out people's eyes, but occasionally you will get somebody who's seriously injured, like Melody. She was hurt, and when something like that happens, there wasn't here. There wasn't a medic out here. And I am really sad that there wasn't. She was at our medic class. She's okay. She won't be down here for a while, but why take children to a protest? They took children to a labor rally that marched down here to be a family-friendly protest.
Why are they putting kids in cages?
Oh, earlier it was, where are the parents? Because I don't know her name. The little one who tends to echo any fuck ice she hears. I mean, she hears it all the time,
right.
And she's brown. This is her heritage, like it or not. She didn't ask for this to be her heritage, but it is.
Words only have the power you give them.
Yep. That is almost certainly my fiance. It is. Yep. She's asking, are you going to be home soon? So the answer is yes, I will be home soon. So anyway, I am going... Ew. You guys let her? Why would you let that woman into the country?
Melania?
Well, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Oh, thank you, Chris. You just posted a link to the Wikipedia article on hexachlorophane. I have I should post it sometime in the chat. I have a link to the manufacturer's data sheet where it actually literally says in the data sheet, this causes cancer, this causes neurological problems, this causes lung failure, this causes liver damage. This is nasty shit. Suitable for use on crowds.
We gathered munitions all summer though and never saw one until January. We would have expired marking gas that people would say.
Oh, but then they started ripping those tags off,
Yeah.
which it takes somebody's time to scrape them off and replace them with asset tag numbers, replacing the manufacturer's expiration date with asset tags made on a Brother P-Touch labeler with TZE label tape. Ask me how I know what that is. I use my label maker a lot. All right, guys, I'm not waiting around for these assholes. I'm going home. Have a good night, everybody, and have another taco. I'll let Chris and So get to bed because they're up late. Have a good night, guys. I'm Joseph. Joseph Carter, by the way. I don't hide my name. My name, my face, and I mean, literally, how fucking anonymous can I be? Kilo Foxtrot 7, Quebec Zulu Charlie, saying goodnight.
Stand up, fight back.
If I could push the damn button.